Hello and welcome. Today is Tuesday. It is the 5th day of September 2017. Welcome. My name is Derek. Let's go over the Bitcoin chart. Talk about cryptocurrencies as almost everything seems to be in the red. Everything's down. Alternate coins doing worse than Bitcoin in general, as the market on Bitcoin has went from about 5,000 down to about 4,000. That's about 18+% down from the high. For the day so far, which is just a little under 6 hours into the session, down about 5.2%. Price action falling below the 18 average of lows. And as far as key highs are concerned, the last key support level, roughly in and around well, we'll look at the shorter term time frame, but just looking at that, you're looking at about 3,500 and change for where it was. But if you look at the context of about a 17-18% decline that was occurring, and it's just a decent blimp for a market that has had several decent retracements in the past. I look at every single one of these corrections, these price moves down, guilty until proven innocent, because the market is very bullish. The path of least resistance is to the upside. And before we go to the shorter term analysis, let's take a look at the weekly chart. And within this one, it's still well above this 18 average. The retracements it's had since this bull market has come into place. There's a long correction in here. There's a correctionary phase move that occurred in here. Again. And right now, as the price action is playing through, I'm just going to draw a quick little rectangle up amongst this point in here. Well, the previous high is roughly in the area of where the 18 average of lows is. So that's going to be something, as we could just draw a better line in here. Yep, so they match right now as it is. So I'm going to be very curious, of course, if there's going to be any deeper corrections, if this would be an area that would hold. And this area, I can tell just by looking at it, would be 3,000. So if you see any kind of major continuations that do such, you're going to hear all of the naysayers coming out and say, hey, I told you so, this thing is over, it's done. We're looking at a currency backed by nothing, unregulated. This thing is, it's no good. It's no good. And you're going to hear a lot of that type of chitter chat, especially when you take a look at these charts more linearly. This is, of course, a logarithmic fashion, or look towards a chart, and so on. So anyway, that's the more longer term look of this. Let's put this onto the 4-hour time frame. And we look just back even towards around August the 10th, when you have situations within the bull markets, when you dip below the 18 average lows. We can see in here, after it concludes, it comes up to this correctionary band and then just leaves it. And in here, when it falls through and it comes to the correctionary band, it just falls further to a lower low, another correctionary test again, back down to this low. It has hit this point again, and now it's already made a lower low. Barely. It looks like it could at least eke out a little bit more before starting to rally, at least on the very, very short term analysis. That's one of the things that I see within this. But one thing that I do look for is, where did it come from? Well, it came from here first. It bounced, but it didn't have much of a bounce. And then after that, as I was stating, there's only key areas of previous support. So you got like a 3,600 area that was support on the 21st, 22nd, and then on around the 14th or so, you have this area around 38, so 38 to 36. And then we can see this key area here, and again around 3,400, and those are areas that are most definitely viable as this continues moving forward. But like I've been stating, I consider all of these sell-offs to be guilty until proven innocent. I'm a believer that if this thing keeps going lower, then it's going to eventually move back to the upside. And what if I'm wrong? Well, I might be. And if I am, that's why every so often when I decide to turn Bitcoin into silver, well, that's the reason why I'm doing it. But because of the ratio, which I've been talking a lot about, which has got up to 250 to 1 before. Now, if we take a look at it now, well, we have $4,000 Bitcoin-ish. We have about $18 silver. That works out to about 220 or so to 1 on the ratio. So it's down a little bit. And I still believe that it's going to go up like 3, 4, 5, several hundred to 1, and then crawl back later. But that's why every so often I like to take a little bit of Bitcoin and profit take it out of the actual portfolio that I have, because Bitcoin's down about 18% since the high. My portfolio's down 17% from that same point. So I'm pretty much in line with Bitcoin. I've barely outperformed it because I've been able to, well, my altcoins have barely done better, but not really. They've gone down. But I've made a few trades here and there during this time frame to just help me out a little bit better. Well, with Komodo being the main reason for that, at least over the last 24 hours, 36, 48 hours or so. Moving on the single hour chart, the 60-minute, we can see just from the decline, all of these different tests that have failed amongst this 18 average. So it's got to be able to make the break or this changeover amongst it, as Stage 1 is flattening out the band. Stage 2 is establishing levels of resistance. But when you look at it just more clearly, okay, so you come up here. This is nice. You're back in here. This is where you can see things were not looking as if the next stage is breaking this resistance. Rather, of course, leaving the band. There's your big red candle down. So here's another situation where it gets above this band, comes in here, and when you look at the decline that followed starting in here, to me there is no way of knowing after this period what the next move is going to be. It was, well, we've came up to this high, it's come back to this correctionary move, but for about 3 or 4 periods it's just doing nothing. Well, it's going to break one way or another. It's either going to have a significant move up here or at least a significant fast move down in this low. Well, there's that significant move down. That was the at least. And of course, it's had all of this moving lower. Next attempt at getting above this 18 average wasn't much at all, up and then back down again. So right now, short term, this number is in at around 42.30. It's still got a decent ways to go, but that's what I'd be looking for any type of reversals. But just short term, when you look at this live in place, you have this low that was hit. It's come already up to this 18 average of lows, starting to go much down, and it's tested this level. To me, it looks like another low could come in, maybe even somewhere around in here, but it does not look very, very short term, as if the bearishness comes into, or if the bullishness is ready to come into play yet. And let's quickly shorten this out again. And this is the 15-minute time frame. And you generally got to be fast when you're doing stuff like this. At least that's what I've noticed, that you're in the situation where it's came back down to this previous low. If you see the price in here, oftentimes there's a good chance that within the next couple of minutes it's going to be another few 2-3% lower than that. So if it's at 39, say 77, 3,900 in like a couple 3-4 minutes is usually kind of common. But of course, myself, I'm not going to be trading it that way, but these are just different things where I'd be looking if there's going to be another leg lower. It does look as if it's going to happen short term, but again, that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. And within long-term playing is basically what the game is. I got the Ethereum chart now as I've switched it over. I'm going to take the losses as they come, the gains as they come into play. I have buy orders ready for alternate coins if they're going to come in, like Ethereum, which is having a third test of the support level at 0.069 right now. And you'd have to think that a move maybe even down to 0.05 could come into play as its next leg lower, or I think its probable leg lower would be towards that, but definitely a warning sign that it could go lower, and it needs to have moves up here to show some more strength. But for myself, I hold the tokens. When they go up, I'm going to sell into it and then place the buy orders down below. And again, I have the buy orders already in place at the 50 handle. And then codes like Litecoin. We've seen Ethereum looking like it's going to break down and have key lows not seen in a while. Here's Litecoin, which is basically in this very long-term consolidation field between around 0.01 and 0.02 really. So anything starting at the 1 number after this 0. And it's at 0.015. So it's pretty much in the middle part of this range. The way I figure with these coins, when they're ready to go, they are just going to go. And if that's the case, I'm going to want to just have them now. I've been holding these coins for quite some time, and I'll just continue selling on the way up and buying on any retracements lower. Here we have Manero moving very, very wildly from the lows in here, going from about 0.01, a little north of that, to 0.03 change, a 3x move really, really quickly. Now it's had a little bit of a correction, going from 38 down to 24. That's about a 14-point basis difference, and this is priced in Bitcoin. And as we see Bitcoin going down the last few days, that means these ones are losing more lately against the dollar overall. But when I see these things ready to explode, like I stated with Litecoin, buy on the way down, sell on the way up. Price action is now back to the north end of where it came from. Keyword north end. The south end from where it came from would probably, I know there's this area and this area, but 20 to 24, I would think, as areas where you could have a better chance or a decent chance of finding support. But hey, I have no problem selling in here, and if I automatically just happen to write, okay, I sell at 32, buy at 24, or if I'm selling at 29 even, I'm buying at 24. And what I sold back in here, I'm going to be ready to buy back in here, and so on and so forth. Neo is the next one. It's came back to where it came from in here, as well as where it is now. But a lot of times I look at this, okay, key levels, where are these lows? I guess you can count any one of these. So the last key area lifted off from about 25, and well, right now it's down in here. So I could still, I'm still looking at that as the possible higher low. And then with it, of course, this 18 average, it's got a long ways to go to do well again or to get bullish. But if you look at the mathematics for where we stand, just if the market is going to make it to previous high, which is, well, the handle of 130 and we're at 50, then there's room for about 140% gain just to get towards this point. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities that are available within the risk and reward. And finally, let's talk about Komodo, which has been my favorite the last couple of days. I've been able to pick up quite a few tokens for free, or coins for free, simply by buying low and selling high over the last 24 hours very efficiently. But as far as its market analysis is concerned, since this June low, leaving the 18 average, breaking out basically from the 23,000 level, that's about better than a 4x gain. So the profit potential within this is extreme. And just like I stated before about the math to previous high, price action here at 51,000, you're looking to double up. But you got a chance to make 100% by buying now and selling there. And if you look at it from a mathematical point of view or from a sports bettor perspective, if you're right, say 64%, 65% of the time, and the price action goes to basically the 100% gain, and the other 30-something% of the time it goes to nothing, you're technically profiting. So you got to look at it in different perspectives as far as how the gains can play out. And then you look at it for major upside potential, because you could be talking about the same thing, say back in April. You have the price that went from, say, 6,000 up to about 18. And here you are, and here you're like, okay, well, price is at 10,000. You make it for a play to 18,000. That's about a 80% gain, but it could go higher. Yeah, it went much higher. So the same thing here. You've went up to about this 100K level. It could go higher, 200, 225, 250, 300. Well, much higher than the 100 number is all I'm going to state on that as potential. But if you're talking about, say, 200,000, now you're talking about going for a 4x gain. If, say, a third of the time you make a play like this for that type of gain, and you're right, and the other two-thirds of the time it goes to nothing, you'd still be profiting. But throwing that part aside again, as I like how the market on this chart with this high volume has had this move up towards this point, but technically breaking it. I do like to see that. What's going to be big is how it handles this correctionary phase. It's been a little bit of such. I'd still like to see it maybe come down a bit more towards this area, and then maybe spend a few days to get towards this point. And then as it's breaking through, I'm going to be even more confident that we're going to have a test towards this level. And I've even heard something about an announcement coming up, I think, later this week. I don't really look much about the fundamentals. Mainly the mathematics of the numbers and the technical analysis is what I primarily focus myself towards. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to what's an odd time for a video, but when you fall asleep for a few hours at nighttime, that pretty much means that you stay up for a little bit. And I thought a good time to put out a video, and I'll be back in a few hours with the 2.5 minute warning. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.